Hello friends. The officially sold crossover could only have 2.0-liter 147 horsepower, 2.4-liter 170 horsepower, and V6 3.0-liter 220 horsepower petrol engines under the hood. In Europe, almost 80% of Outlander 2s are equipped with a turbodiesel. Basically, it is 2.0 DID 140 horsepower, developed by Volkswagen until 2010. Less common are cars with a French diesel Peugeot Citroën 2.2 DID 156 horsepower, or their own 2.2 DID unit 177 horsepower. However, the Japanese-French cooperation had a deeper result. Citroën C-Crosser and Peugeot 4007 turned versions of the Japanese crossover. The Mitsubishi Outlander 2 gasoline engines cannot offer the economical perfection of a diesel engine, and with large runs, there are characteristic shortcomings. First of all, this is an increase in oil consumption after 200 to 250,000 kilometers due to the aging of the valve stem seals and the occurrence of oil scraper rings. In addition, in the case of 2.4, the valve cover gasket leaks, and in 3.0, the cover itself cracks. In a gasoline V6, oil may also appear in the area of the MIVEC valve. The drive of the gas distribution mechanism of gasoline 2.0 and 2.4 is chain. The chain lasts a long time. Valve clearance adjustment is carried out by selection of pushers. However, this is usually not necessary. In a 3-liter engine, the timing is driven by a belt, with a recommended replacement interval of 60,000 kilometers. The exhaust valve mechanism in the 3.0 V6 is equipped with hydraulic lifters, and the intake valves are mechanically adjusted using a nut. The 2.0 DID is nothing more than the 2.0 TDI-PD developed by Volkswagen. Mitsubishi Outlander got a German engine marked BSY, a distinctive feature of which is the presence of a particulate filter. Bosel or Starline products can be recommended to replace a clogged filter. Here, as in German cars, there are defects in the cylinder head and problems with pump injectors. In the first case, a malfunction is indirectly indicated by a decrease in the level of antifreeze in the tank. Turbocharger failures are mainly caused by operating errors, in particular the use of the wrong type of oil or its poor condition due to the delay in replacement. Any mechanic can handle a pipe flying off a turbocharger. If he does it well, then the problem won't happen again. Another option is to replace the nozzle with a modified one. The French 2.2 DID is nothing but the DW12. Until 2010, it complied with Euro 4 standards and had the designation 4HN, and after, Euro 5 and the 4HK index. Unlike the German 2.0 DID, it is quieter and has higher performance. True, owners often complain about problems with the particulate filter. The particulate filter uses an Aeolus additive that requires regular replenishment, approximately every 120,000 kilometers. On rough terrain, the diesel particulate filter fluid reservoir, located too low, is quite often damaged. In cold climates, Outlander owners with a French diesel have experienced freezing of the fuel filter, i.e. paraffin formation. Subsequently, Mitsubishi began to offer a modified fuel filter housing with an electric heater as an option. But these are all trifles in comparison with massive oil leaks due to a clogged crankcase ventilation system. From experience, cleaning does not bring the desired effect, so it is better to replace clogged elements. In addition, as crankcase pressure increases, the risk of oil entering the EGR system and subsequent clogging of the particulate filter increases. The second problem concerns the Bosch injection pump drive. It is connected to one camshaft through an intermediate gear. Unfortunately, it sometimes breaks, which can even lead to damage to the camshaft. Fortunately, the problem does not occur often and with runs over several 100,000 kilometers. Another rare ailment is a stuck intake valve. This damages the bottom of the piston and bends the valve. The 2.2 DID MIVEC, Mitsubishi's own design, that appeared after restyling is a completely different engine. It is equipped with a unique system for changing the valve timing and adjusting the valve lift. The 4N14 turbo diesel has a relatively low compression ratio of 14.9 to 1. It impresses with reliability and has lower fuel consumption than the 2.2-liter French unit. However, the engine is very annoying with a loud rumble. Mechanics don't even have to turn their heads to find out what kind of model drove into the repair box. Unlike other diesel engines, the Japanese unit requires checking the valve clearance every 45,000 kilometers. The procedure is quite complicated. To do this, remove the nozzles from the head of the block. But this also has its advantages. As you know, nozzle seals fail over time, which leads to diesel fuel getting into the oil, deterioration of lubricating properties, and engine wear. And since the seals change after each dismantling of the injectors, there are no such problems here. Worse if it comes to the exhaust emissions system. The regeneration of the particulate filter occurs due to an additional portion of diesel fuel. As a result, it may get into the oil. The problem concerns, first of all, those who often travel short distances. It's just that the regeneration process never comes to an end. In the future, Mitsubishi sought to reduce the harmful effects by changing the algorithm of work. But this applies to next-generation vehicles produced after 2012. With a 3-liter V6, a classic automatic transmission was used. With petrol 2.0 and 2.4 liters, in addition to mechanics, a stepless CVT variator was installed. Diesel engines are paired with a 6-speed manual transmission. The 6-speed automatic Jatco JF613E demonstrates enviable reliability. The variator may require repair after 150 to 200,000 kilometers. At the same time, there are specimens that have traveled 300 to 400,000 kilometers before the first repair. The French 2.2 DID since 2010 could be equipped with an alternative 6-speed dual-clutch semi-automatic TC SST. The robot was supplied by GetRag. It also provided robots for Ford, PowerShift, and Renault EDC, but SST is very different from them. This box works quickly and is considered reliable. However, in comparison with mechanics, it is more expensive to operate. Every 100,000 kilometers, a DIA QUENN SSTF1 oil change is required. The 4-wheel drive system allows you to select one of 3 modes of operation using a circular switch on the center tunnel behind the gear selector. On dry and slightly wet surfaces, only the front axle 2-wheel drive mode is sufficient. The 4WD all-wheel drive mode can be turned on both during a stop and while driving at any speed. In this mode, the multi-plate clutch transfers some of the engine's power to the rear wheels, but only if the front wheels slip. The rest of the Mitsubishi Outlander HL is still front-wheel drive. The third mode has a tempting name, Lock, which doesn't really correspond to reality. Let the blocking happen, but it is not complete. The technical description says that in this mode, about 1.5 times more traction is transmitted to the rear axle than is possible in 4-wheel drive. The amount of torque transferred is inversely proportional to the speed. When exceeding 60 kilometers per hour, the transmission automatically switches to 4-wheel drive mode. However, the Outlander is not intended for serious off-road use, although it must be admitted that the crossover feels good in difficult terrain thanks to its high ground clearance of 215 millimeters. Do not forget that the multi-plate clutch overheats quite easily, leaving the car in front-wheel drive for a while. And frequent overheating adversely affects the health of the clutch. However, cases of clutch repair are quite rare. After 200,000 kilometers, it is periodically necessary to eliminate leaks from under the seals and change the propeller shaft crosses. and after 200 to 250,000 kilometers, the internal CV joints of the front axle begin to provoke vibrations. Outlander's second generation in terms of reliability is a good car. It doesn't bother with problems. The suspension is strong, but after 100,000 kilometers, you will have to reckon with the need to replace the steering tips, struts, and stabilizer bushings, as well as leaking shock absorbers. Ball bearings and silent blocks of levers reach 150 to 200,000 kilometers. With age, bolts and nuts stick, making it difficult to replace and adjust the wheel alignment angles. After 180 to 220,000 kilometers, the turn of wheel bearings comes. If the front ones are changed separately, then the rear ones are assembled with the hub. The brakes are quite effective, but with dynamic driving, it is better to think about using better brake discs and pads. Relatives quickly give up. The quality of the Outlander 2 bodywork is average. Chips soon appear on the hood, which quickly overgrow with rust. On older cars, corrosion often attacks the sills and the bottom of the front fenders. Paradoxically, rust also eats up the front subframe and only 3-liter versions. Headlights become noticeably cloudy after 12 to 13 years of operation. In rare cases, the e-TAC's electrical control system fails. The operation of the headlights and the wiper is disrupted. The stove motor sometimes gives up on a segment of 150 to 250,000 kilometers. Does not differ in durability and steering column train. If you know of other model malfunctions, be sure to write about it.